Welcome to Mindless Entertainment. My name is Jesse Milestone, and if you've seen my review of the season finale of Game of Thrones, you'll know that I am not looking upon it too kindly. I had a lot of issues with it. I had a lot of questions about it. However, there's one thing I did not address in that review that I do want to take a moment just to shed some light on here, because I think it's something that we're overlooking a little bit that was actually low-key kind of brilliant. Probably like the one really truly brilliant thing that this episode did. It didn't do a whole lot of brilliant things, and it didn't do a lot of satisfying things at all, but it did make a really interesting commentary on new wave feminism, on with third wave, is that what the wave we're in, progressive feminism, whatever you want to call it, on the current state of feminism. And that was in Tyrion's nice little speech. And they've been trying to make some of these little commentaries here and there with various amounts of success this season. It pissed a lot of people off on both sides of the spectrum. However, this one I really enjoyed, because this was Tyrion in his dungeon and crap talking to Jon and bringing up we applauded her when she killed the evil men. Because they were bad. We justified that they were bad. They were the rich men and she killed them. They were the slavers and she killed them. And nobody cared when she killed the evil men. And then she went on and just killed everyone else. Think about that for a second. Because that's what's up, right? It's this idea of, it's exactly what's going on in this culture right now. It's this idea that, oh, well, there's a lot of bad men who've done bad things and abused their position of power that they've comfortably held for a long time. And so we should tear them all down, and that's great. But then where does it stop? Where is the line? Where's the line? Where's the line in the sand? Because obviously for Daenerys, it goes away. And that line gets blurred for the person doing the attacking. And the line gets blurred for the people who are just sort of sitting by and letting it happen. And you just continue to let it happen. You go, all right, that's fine. So the evil men died. And we can justify killing these people because they supported the evil men. And these guys, like, they weren't evil men, but they were men. So maybe they could have been evil. So we killed them just in case, just in case. Which is where she gets to. Oh, we killed everyone in King's Landing because they supported Cersei. So I guess they might have been bad. And now we're just going to go around and, like, probably kill anyone who doesn't bend the knee to us, because we know that what we're doing is good and right and just, and so if people don't go along with it, it's perfect the way she said it. It's like, I know that I'm good. Well, what about everyone else? Too bad. I know I'm good. They don't get to choose. I get to choose. And we saw how damaging, how murderous, how toxic that position was. And that was a beautiful, brilliant allegory for the current state of feminism right now. And all of this identity politics, and not even just identity politics, you can take this outside of that. It doesn't even just have to be a criticism on the progressive left. You can take this into any hardcore ideology, and any ideology goes unchecked. When someone goes around with this idea, and that goes for all of us, it goes for me, that goes for you, because that's the whole thing. It's the whole point. Whenever you and I start any kind of conversation or argument where we take a stance, where we take a hardline stance, we're convinced that we're right. We're convinced that the thing that we're saying is good and is correct. Most of us don't walk around being like, I'm just propagating evil. We think that we're being correct, right? And so that's the whole point, is that if there's no one there to check you, that line gets blurred, that line gets slippery. So all y'all progressives out there being like, we are doing the morally sound thing, check yourself, because just because you're doing the right thing. Sure, Dany set out with the best of intentions. Let's liberate people. We don't want them to be slaves. We want people who've been disenfranchised to have power. This is starting to sound really familiar. It's starting to sound a lot like some things I've seen before, right? Let's make sure the disenfranchised people all have the power. Cool. All right. And then what do we do with the people who had the power before? We just kill them all. And we start being more and more indiscriminate about who we kill. Anybody who was in the position to have power, whether or not they used or abused it, gets killed off. And that's exactly what's happening in our culture. That's exactly what's happening in our culture war right now. This idea that all men are somehow evil and that it's okay to hate on them, well, because they've categorically been bad. But where does that line stop, and when does it start damaging and harming innocent people? And that is exactly what I took away from that moment in Game of Thrones. So in spite of this entire season being hot steaming dog shit, and in spite of that episode being just an abysmal excuse for a series finale, that one moment, that one little nugget actually gave me a lot of hope for Benioff and Weiss moving on to Star Wars. Because that's what's a huge complaint, right? I mean, The Last Jedi has functional problems as a film, but if you're going to look at an overarching thing between The Force Awakens and The Last Jedi, lack of originality is an issue. I don't know how creative original Benioff and Weiss are capable of being. They've mostly adapted other people's works their entire lives, so I'm not necessarily expecting, something totally exciting and original that's never been done before. They're definitely very much into following tropes. However, the one thing I'm not worried about now, I'm I'm not worried about them injecting the identity politics into Star Wars. From what I've seen in Game of Thrones, I think they're trying to skirt that line. I think they're trying to walk in that narrative of having a certain level of diversity. Certainly, I mean, I think this is just a George R. R. Martin thing, is having, the dwarf and the cripple and the losing the hand, all these things, and the bastards, the unwanted outcast. But even that right there, right? This idea of other that's not based on your race or your gender or your something else. This idea of other that people can relate to for different reasons, where it's not someone who just like, oh, I gotta look like that person because they're representing me as a gay person or a black person or a woman or whatever. And just look at the way they've handled women in this series in general. You don't have Mary Sue's. You have some bad character decisions. You have some just ugly, glaring plot armor. But you have characters that for the most part, with a certain amount of breakdown in the season, they're not caricatures of social justice at all. They're not caricatures of, or they're not shoehorned diversity. They're not there for the sake of diversity. So what I'm saying is that the one positive takeaway I can take from all of this is that Benioff and Weiss might write a derivative, garbage, poorly strung together Star Wars trilogy with crappy characters that all recede and end up exactly the way they start. But at least we're not going to get beaten over the head with this idea that man bad, woman good. I don't see that happening based on that moment. Yeah, I'm taking that moment alone, but that was a very powerful commentary. And it was done well. It was done allegorically, the way that we want. I mean, I'm sure a lot of us just glossed over that and didn't even hear it, didn't even see it, didn't even pay attention to that. And that is what makes it so good. I mean, it's also easy to get lost, to lose that message in the hot steaming pile of shit that was the entire rest of the episode. But that moment, let's take away a little bit of good from this. We can do that, right? We can acknowledge that something might be horrible, but there's still one or two good things about it. And that's my positive takeaway from Game of Thrones. That's it. That's pretty much the only one I got, but goddamn did I love that commentary. And it is such a brilliant one, right? It doesn't matter how good you think you are, once you start doing evil in the name of good, your moral high ground is gone. You have no leg to stand on anymore. The end. Done. So I loved that. I hope that inspires something, or gives you a little bit of just like a tiny little feel-good nugget regarding that last episode. And maybe a the teeniest glimmer of hope that at least things aren't going to get worse moving forwards in the Star Wars universe. So that's what I got for you. If you enjoyed this video, go ahead and press that like button, please, gently, tenderly, with or without consent. Roughly, if you prefer. You got a bunch of links popping up here in just a second. You're going to have one for LA Cheesesteak Reviews. That's my newest channel, and you're not going to want to miss the promo when we drop it, so make sure you are subscribed to that. Check out the Jesse Shot First t-shirt with original artwork by That Star Wars Girl. And check out Get Involved With Me. That'll give you all the links of various ways you can help get involved with this channel. I'm having issues with YouTube demonetizing a lot of my videos, just out of hand based on, I don't know, whatever keywords. So there are other ways that you can help contribute, such as Patreon, etc. There's links to my social media, Twitter at Jesse Milestone, Instagram at Mindless Entertainment, Teespring links, all of those different kinds of things, ways to get involved in the channel and help it grow, because you cannot do this without you. All of your involvement, your likes, your shares, your comments help me so much more than you know, so thank you very much for being involved. I appreciate that as always, and that's what I got for you, so God Empress out.